The scissors moved closer to Raven's hair while 3,000 people watched live. Metal blades caught the fluorescent cafeteria lights, throwing sharp reflections across phone screens held like weapons. Raven Silverstone sat perfectly still at the corner table, her long black hair cascading down her back like a waterfall of midnight. Around her, phones formed a circle of digital eyes, each one broadcasting her humiliation to the world. "Welcome to the freak show, everyone." Blake Harrison's voice boomed through the cafeteria, performative and cruel. The 18-year-old quarterback held scissors high enough for every camera to catch. His Letterman jacket stretched across broad shoulders as he played to his audience. "Today, we're giving the weird girl a makeover she'll never forget." The chat stream exploded on Hunter Mitchell's phone. Laughing emojis flooded the screen. Comments scrolled faster than anyone could read. "Cut it all. She deserves it. About time someone did something." Raven's lips moved silently. 7, 8, 9. The smell hit her first. Blake's expensive cologne mixed with cafeteria grease and the sharp scent of fierce sweat from the crowd. She catalogued each sensation, storing it away like evidence. The cold metal table under her palms, the weight of 300 students watching, the tremor in Blake's hand betraying his chemical courage. Mason Torres blocked the exits. Thick arms crossed over his chest. His job was simple: make sure she couldn't run. Make sure everyone got their show. His nervous laugh echoed off concrete walls. "Check this out. Chat." Hunter's voice narrated like some twisted documentary. "Blake's about to give the school psycho what she deserves. You see how she just sits there like a robot, like she doesn't even have feelings." The scissors touched her hair, metal cold against her neck. 10, Raven whispered. Her hand moved faster than the camera could capture. One moment Blake had control. The next, his wrist was trapped in her grip, bones grinding together under precise pressure. The scissors clattered to the floor, the sound sharp as breaking glass. The stream chat went silent for exactly 2 seconds, then exploded. Blake's face contorted, confidence crumbling into shock. "What the—" "You really shouldn't have done that," Raven said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle, like a teacher correcting a small child. But her grip on his wrist told a different story. "Get off me, freak!" Blake tried to pull away. His free hand balled into a fist. That's when everyone saw it. The way Raven moved wasn't normal, wasn't some lucky grab from a desperate girl. Her body shifted with practiced precision, weight distributed perfectly, stance widening just enough to maintain balance. Professional, trained, dangerous. "Oh my God," someone whispered. "She knows how to fight." The chat stream erupted again. "Is this real? She's trained. And Blake's in trouble. This is insane. Someone call someone." Hunter's hands shook, making the camera wobble, but he kept filming. This was bigger than anything they'd planned. The quiet girl who never spoke, never fought back, never did anything but exist in their shadows. She was something else entirely. "Let go," Blake growled, masculine pride warring with growing pain. "Or you'll what?" Raven's grip adjusted slightly. Blake's knees buckled. "Finish your sentence, Blake. Tell 3,000 people what you'll do to the girl you cornered. The girl you've tormented for 2 years. Tell them." The cafeteria held its breath. Hundreds of students frozen like statues. Phones still raised, still recording. This wasn't the script. Raven Silverstone was supposed to cry. She was supposed to beg. She was supposed to break. She wasn't supposed to fight back. Harper Williams finally found her voice from across the room. "Raven, please, just let him go. It's not worth it." But Harper's plea came from guilt, not concern for Blake. She'd watched for 2 years. They all had. Watched Blake and his crew make Raven's life hell. The dead animals in her locker, the fake social media profiles, the daily humiliation disguised as pranks. Harper had done nothing. None of them had. Until now. "You know what's funny?" Raven's voice carried across the silent cafeteria. Still calm. Still controlled. "I counted to 10. I always count to 10. My mother taught me that. She said counting gives you time to choose. Time to decide if this is the mountain you die on." Blake's face had gone from red to white. Sweat beaded on his forehead. "You're crazy. Everyone knows you're crazy. Your mom's crazy, too. Military psycho, just like—" The shift was subtle. Just a small adjustment of her grip. But Blake's words cut off in a strangled gasp. "My mother," Raven said softly, "is a decorated Marine Corps colonel who spent 3 tours in Afghanistan saving lives. She taught me discipline, control, and yes, she taught me how to defend myself." Her eyes found Hunter's camera. "Are you getting this, all 3,000 viewers? Good, because what happens next is going to be very educational." Mason Torres made his move. The defensive end rushed forward, phone in one hand, reaching for Raven with the other. "Get off him! Psycho!" Time slowed. Raven released Blake's wrist, and her body flowed like water. She pivoted on one foot, using Blake's stumbling momentum to guide him safely aside. Mason's charge met empty air where she'd been a heartbeat before. His own momentum became his enemy. She didn't strike him. Didn't need to. Just a gentle hand on his shoulder. A subtle redirect of his energy. Physics did the rest. 240 pounds of football player crashed into the empty table behind her. The sound echoed through the cafeteria like thunder. "Holy..." Hunter's voice cracked. "Did you see that? Did you freaking see that?" The stream viewer count climbed. 5,000, 8,000, 15,000. Someone had clipped the moment, and it was already spreading across social media like wildfire. "High school girl destroys bullies trending in real time." Blake clutched his wrist, rage replacing shock. "You're done. You're so done. My father owns this town. You just assaulted the mayor's son on camera. They'll arrest you. They'll—" Actually, Raven straightened her hair with steady hands. "I defended myself against assault. You touched me first. With a weapon." She gestured to the scissors still gleaming on the floor. 3,000 witnesses just watched you commit assault with a deadly weapon. But please, call your father. Call the police. I'm sure they'd love to see the evidence." That's when Principal Storm burst through the cafeteria doors. The 50-year-old administrator took in the scene with wide eyes. Mason groaning on the floor. Blake cradling his wrist. Raven standing calm in the center of chaos. Hundreds of phones pointed like accusations. "What is going on here?" His voice boomed with forced authority. "She attacked us." Blake found his voice first. Always did. Practice from years of shifting blame. "This psycho just attacked me and Mason for no reason. No reason." Harper Williams stepped forward, surprising everyone, including herself. Blake was about to cut her hair off, with scissors, while streaming it online. "Shut up, Harper," Blake snarled. But Harper was done being silent. The dam had broken. He's been torturing her for 2 years. Principal Storm. We all know it. We all watched. And today, he decided to broadcast it for fun. Miss Silverstone. Principal Storm's voice was carefully measured. Political. You're suspended pending investigation. Please come with me. Raven nodded once. No argument, no emotion. She gathered her backpack with the same calm precision she'd shown in combat. But as she passed Hunter's still streaming phone, she paused. For anyone watching who's ever been in my position, she spoke directly to the camera. Remember this, you have the right to defend yourself. You have the right to exist without fear. And sometimes, the quietest response is the loudest statement. The cafeteria erupted as she left. Students shouting, arguing, taking sides. The stream comments scrolled so fast they blurred. She's a hero. She's a menace. Blake had it coming. This is assault. Self-defense. Team Raven. But beneath the chaos, something else was happening. Other victims were finding their voices. Emma Chen pulling out her phone to record her own story. Marcus Jefferson showing screenshots of Blake's harassment. Years of silence cracking like ice in spring. Hunter kept streaming, camera swinging wildly to capture it all. Guys, this is insane. The whole school's going crazy. Wait, there's more. Someone's pulling up outside. Black SUV. Government plates. Oh man. The vehicle door opened. A woman stepped out. And even from across the parking lot, her presence commanded attention. Colonel Sarah Silverstone wore civilian clothes, but she might as well have been in full dress uniform. Every movement radiated controlled power, the same precise grace her daughter had displayed minutes earlier. She walked through the school entrance like she owned it. Students parted before her without being asked. Some recognized her from military events. Others just instinctively knew this was not someone to obstruct. "Ma'am, you can't just—" The secretary's protest died as Colonel Silverstone produced her military ID. "I believe you have my daughter." In Principal Storm's office, Raven sat perfectly straight, hands folded, expression neutral. She'd been trained for interrogation since childhood. This was nothing. "Miss Silverstone," Principal Storm began, "regardless of provocation, violence is never—" The door opened. Colonel Silverstone entered, and the room's power dynamic shifted instantly. Principal Storm rose from his chair without thinking, muscle memory from his own brief military service. "Principal Storm," her voice was velvet over steel, "I'm Colonel Sarah Silverstone. I understand there's been an incident. Your daughter assaulted 2 students. My daughter defended herself against assault. I assume you've reviewed the footage, the stream that 3,000, excuse me, Hunter Mitchell just updated 27,000 people watched live." Storm's face flushed. "Regardless of the circumstances, Colonel Silverstone interrupted smoothly, "are that my daughter has endured 23 months of documented harassment at this school. Would you like to see the folder?" She placed a thick manila envelope on his desk. Storm's eyes widened at its size. Every incident, every report Raven filed that was ignored, every time she came to administrators who did nothing. Screenshots of the fake social media profiles, photos of the dead rat in her locker, the used tampons taped to her car, the daily abuse that you allowed to flourish under your watch. "Now wait just a—" "I'm not finished." Her tone brooked no argument. "My daughter counted to 10 every single time. Showed restraint that would make Buddhist monks jealous. She followed your rules, your policies, your useless bureaucracy. And what did it get her? A boy with scissors ready to assault her for the entertainment of the internet. Outside the office, the waiting area filled with bodies. Students drawn by drama and social media. Hunter, still streaming. Now to 40,000 viewers. Parents arriving, summoned by frantic texts. the story spreading beyond Oakwood High, beyond their small Michigan town. "She's a soldier's daughter," someone whispered. "Trained to kill."
"Oh, she didn't kill anyone," another countered. "She barely touched them. Did you see how Mason went down like something from a movie? Blake's had it coming for years."
Violence is never the answer. Then what is, when telling doesn't work? The debate raged, but Raven sat silent in the eye of the storm. Her mother's presence beside her was comfort enough. They'd weathered worse. Deployments, death threats, the weight of service that civilians could never understand. "Mrs. Colonel Silverstone," Principal Storm tried to regain control. "While I sympathize with your daughter's situation, we have zero tolerance for violence." "You have zero tolerance for victims defending themselves," Colonel Silverstone corrected. "But infinite tolerance for perpetrators. Interesting priority system." A knock interrupted. The secretary peered in, face pale. "Principal Storm and Mayor Harrison is here, with his lawyer, and there are news vans in the parking lot." Through the window, they could see the circus forming. Channel 7, Channel 4, local papers. The story had legs, and it was running. Blake's father entered like he owned the building, which, given his position and influence, wasn't far from truth. Mayor Harrison was everything his son would become: entitled, powerful, protected by systems designed for men like him. "Storm, what the hell is this?" He jabbed a finger at Raven. "This girl assaulted my son. I want charges pressed. I want Mayor Harrison." Colonel Silverstone stood slowly. Even in civilian clothes, she radiated military bearing. "I'm Colonel Sarah Silverstone, United States Marine Corps. Your son assaulted my daughter with a weapon while broadcasting it online. If anyone's pressing charges, it will be us." The two parents faced off, power meeting power. But there was a difference. Mayor Harrison's authority came from politics and money. Colonel Silverstone's came from service and sacrifice. In that moment, everyone in the room knew which carried more weight. "Your daughter," the mayor sputtered, "is a menace. She's been reported multiple times for antisocial behavior. My daughter has been bullied relentlessly while this administration looked the other way. Every report she filed was buried, every complaint dismissed. Would you like to discuss why that might be?" The question hung heavy, because everyone knew why. Blake Harrison was untouchable. Star athlete, mayor's son, golden boy who could do no wrong, even when wrong was all he did. She broke his wrist. Mayor Harrison tried another angle. "His wrist is bruised, not broken. I've seen the medical report already uploaded to social media. Your son is playing victim after being caught committing assault. On camera. To 57,000 viewers and climbing." Hunter's voice drifted through the door, still narrating to his growing audience. "Guys, this is unreal. The mayor's here. Raven's mom is some kind of military badass. The whole school's in chaos. They're saying this might go national." "Shut that down," Mayor Harrison barked at Storm. "Confiscate all phones. It's too late for that." Colonel Silverstone pulled out her own phone. "The clip's been shared over 100,000 times. 3 different news outlets have already picked it up. Your son made this public. Now he gets to live with public consequences." Through the chaos, Raven remained silent, but inside, wheels turned with military precision. She'd learned strategy before algebra, tactics before trigonometry. This wasn't just about today. This was about every quiet kid who'd ever been cornered. Every victim told to turn the other cheek until they had no cheeks left to turn. Her mother had taught her to fight. But more importantly, she'd taught her when to fight. And sometimes, The fight wasn't just for yourself. The office door burst open again. This time it was Harper Williams, followed by 6 other students, their faces set with determination born from guilt and newfound courage. "We need to testify," Harper announced, "about everything Blake's done. Not just to Raven. To all of us." "Harper," Blake's voice cracked from the hallway where he'd been eavesdropping. "You lying?" "Shut up, Blake." The words came from Mason Torres. He stood swaying, ice pack pressed to his shoulder, but his eyes were clear. "It's over, man. It's been over since you decided to stream it. I'm done. My family's done. This isn't who I want to be anymore." The crack in Blake's armor was visible to everyone. His enforcer turning, his victims speaking up, his father's influence crumbling against military steel and viral justice. "You'll all pay for this," Blake snarled. "Every single one of you. You think this ends here? You have no idea what my family can do. We own this town. We own the police. You own nothing." Raven spoke for the first time since entering the office. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. "You're just a scared little boy who built his throne on other people's pain. And thrones like that always fall." She stood, matching her mother's posture. "Principal Storm, I accept the suspension. Use the time to investigate. Really investigate. Not the surface political show you usually do. Dig deep, because what you'll find goes beyond me, beyond Blake. It's a system that protects predators and punishes victims. And today, that system broke. You can't just leave." Mayor Harrison moved to block their path. Colonel Silverstone's smile was sharp as winter wind. "Actually, we can. And we will. But first, some advice. Lawyer up. You're going to need it. Because assault with a deadly weapon, broadcast across state lines, that's federal jurisdiction. And I have connections in places that don't care about small-town politics." And they walked out together, mother and daughter leaving chaos in their wake. But it was productive chaos, necessary chaos, the kind that came before real change. Outside, the crowd had grown massive. Students, parents, media, all waiting for something. A statement, a confrontation, a conclusion to the story they'd watched unfold in real time. Raven paused at the top of the steps. Cameras swung toward her like flowers seeking sun. Microphones thrust forward. Questions shouted over each other. But she wasn't there for them. She was there for the quiet ones. The victims watching from shadows. The ones who counted to 10,000 and still found no justice. To everyone who's been where I was today, she spoke clearly, voice carrying across the crowd and through countless phones to screens around the world. Know this, you're not alone, you're not crazy, and you're not wrong for defending yourself when systems fail you. "My daughter was assaulted," Colonel Silverstone added, stepping beside her. "She defended herself with minimal force. If that makes her a villain in your story, maybe you need a better story." They descended the steps together, crowd parting like biblical waters. Behind them, Oakwood High erupted in arguments, accusations, long-buried truths spilling like blood from old wounds. Hunter Mitchell kept streaming to an audience now exceeding 200,000. This is Hunter Mitchell, reporting live from what might be the craziest day in Oakwood High history. The quiet girl just took down the untouchable king. And guys, I think this is just the beginning. He was right, because in her car, Raven pulled out a second phone, one nobody knew about, one that had been recording for 2 years. Every incident, every threat, every moment of harassment, captured in digital amber. "Ready for phase 2? Her mother asked, starting the engine. Raven smiled. It was small, controlled, but genuine. "I've been ready for 23 months. As they drove away, neither saw Blake Harrison standing at his father's office window, face twisted with rage, and something else, fear. Because, for the first time in his 18 years of consequence-free existence, he was facing something his father's money couldn't fix. The internet never forgets, and Raven Silverstone had given it something to remember. The black SUV disappeared around the corner just as the first reporter went live. This is Channel 7 News, with breaking coverage of an incident at Oakwood High that's captivating the nation. A student defending herself against bullying has sparked a conversation about victims' rights, self-defense, and the systems that fail our children. But the real story was just beginning. Because in that SUV, Raven opened her laptop. The folder labeled Evidence contained 2 years of meticulous documentation. Every incident indexed, every witness listed, every failure catalogued. "Time to send this to the right people," her mother asked. "Past time," Raven replied. Her fingers moved across keys with the same precision she'd shown in the cafeteria. "But first, we need to make sure Blake's other victims are protected. He'll lash out. They always do when cornered." "Already on it," Colonel Silverstone voice-dialed someone. "James? Yeah, it happened, just like we discussed. I need surveillance on the Williams girl and the others who spoke up. Discreet, but thorough. Copy that?" Raven looked at her mother with curiosity. "You knew this would happen today." "I knew it would happen eventually. You can only push someone so far before they push back. I'm just glad you waited until they gave you legal justification." She paused. "Your restraint was remarkable." "Counting to 10 for 2 years builds patience," Raven said quietly. "But when he touched me with those scissors, when he made it physical assault while broadcasting it, he gave me the gift of justified response." They drove in comfortable silence, each lost in thought. The adrenaline was fading, leaving behind the weight of what came next. Legal battles, media scrutiny, the full force of Harrison family influence, but also possibility, change, a chance to break the cycle that had trapped so many before her. Raven's phone buzzed. Harper Williams had sent a text. "Thank you for everything. We should have stood up sooner. I'm sorry." Then another, and another. Students she'd never spoken to, teachers who'd seen but stayed silent, parents whose children had suffered in silence, all finding courage in her example. "You know what this means," her mother said softly. "You've painted a target on your back. The Harrisons won't let this go. Neither will others like them. You've challenged the entire power structure." "Good," Raven replied. "Some structures need challenging." As they pulled into their driveway, 3 more news vans were already waiting. Colonel Silverstone sighed. "So much for keeping a low profile." "Mom," Raven touched her mother's hand. "Thank you for teaching me strength, for teaching me restraint, for teaching me that real power isn't about hurting others. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves." Colonel Silverstone's eyes misted, a rare show of emotion from the battle-hardened Marine. "You learned those lessons better than I ever hoped. Your father would be so proud." They sat for a moment, remembering the man whose sacrifice in Afghanistan had brought them to this small Michigan town. Seeking peace, finding war of a different kind. "Ready to face the cameras?" her mother asked. "No," Raven admitted, "but I'll do it anyway, for everyone who can't." They stepped out together, ready for whatever came next. Behind them, Raven's laptop screen still glowed. The email she'd composed sat ready,
Recipients included the State Board of Education, the ACLU, 3 congressional representatives, and dozen media outlets. Subject line, 2 years of documented abuse. How Oakwood High failed its students. Her finger hovered over send. Once this went out, there was no going back. The Harrisons would unleash everything. The town would divide. Lives would change. But change was necessary. And sometimes, the quietest ones had to make the loudest noise. Behind them, through the kitchen window, the laptop screen flashed. Message sent. The email detonated like a digital bomb at 7:43 p.m. within minutes. 2 years of documented abuse. How Oakwood High failed its buyout students was forwarded, shared, and screenshot across the internet. News outlets scrambled to verify the 137 pages of evidence. The meticulous documentation painted a picture so damning that even Blake's supporters fell silent. By morning, Oakwood High was surrounded, not just media now, but investigators, state officials, civil rights attorneys. The small Michigan town found itself at the center of a national conversation about bullying, accountability, and the courage of one quiet girl who'd finally had enough. Raven stood at her bedroom window, watching the circus below. Her phone hadn't stopped buzzing. Interview requests, book deals, movie rights. She ignored them all. This wasn't about fame. It had never been about fame. Raven. Her mother knocked softly. Someone's here to see you. Downstairs, Harper Williams sat nervously on their couch, but she wasn't alone. 8 other students filled the living room. Some Raven recognized as Blake's other victims. Others were surprises, including Tyler Morrison, Blake's best friend since elementary school. "We want to testify," Harper said without preamble. "All of us, at the hearing tomorrow." Tyler couldn't meet Raven's eyes. His hands shook as he pulled out his phone. "I have videos, ones I never posted. Worse things, things that," his voice cracked, "things that prove this goes deeper than anyone knows." The room fell silent. Even Colonel Silverstone straightened, recognizing the weight of what Tyler was offering. Betraying Blake Harrison meant social suicide in Oakwood. It meant his family's construction business losing contracts. It meant becoming a target himself. "Why?" Raven asked simply. Tyler finally looked up. Tears streaked his face. "Because Ashley Morrison was my cousin. And after what Blake did to her last year, after he couldn't finish. Didn't need to. Everyone knew about Ashley Morrison, the quiet sophomore who'd transferred schools suddenly. The rumors said she'd attempted suicide. Blake had joked about it for weeks. I kept recording everything after that." Tyler continued. "I thought maybe someday, maybe when I was brave enough, but I was never brave enough. Not until I saw you stand up to him. Not until I realized I was just as guilty for staying silent." One by one, the others shared their stories. Emma Chen showed bruises hidden under long sleeves. Marcus Jefferson revealed text messages so vile they turned stomachs. Sophie Anderson, only 14, whispered about encounters that bordered on criminal. "He never went too far," Sophie said quietly. "Just far enough to terrify us, far enough to make us feel powerless. He knew exactly where the line was." "Because his father taught him," Tyler added bitterly. "I've heard them talking, planning, like it was all a game, like we were all just pieces on their board." Raven absorbed each story, each piece of evidence. The picture they painted was worse than even she'd imagined. Blake wasn't just a bully. He was a predator in training, protected by power and position. "The hearing's at 9 a.m., Colonel Silverstone said. "If you're serious about testifying, you need lawyers, protection. Your families need to understand what they're risking." "We already talked to them," Harper said. "Well,
Most of us. Tyler's parents don't know yet. They'll find out tomorrow, Tyler said grimly. But this is bigger than my family's business. This is about right and wrong, and I've been on the wrong side for too long. After they left, Raven sat with her mother in silence. The weight of tomorrow pressed down like gravity. The hearing would determine not just her fate, but the future of Oakwood High. Maybe even the future of how schools handled bullying nationwide. You started something, her mother said softly. Something that's grown beyond what either of us expected. I just defended myself, Raven replied. Everything else, that's them finding their own courage. Courage is contagious. Colonel Silverstone smiled. And you were patient zero. That night, Raven barely slept, not from fear, but from anticipation. Tomorrow would bring either justice or proof that the system was irreparably broken. Either way, she'd face it with the same calm she'd shown in the cafeteria. The hearing was held in the high school auditorium. By 8 a.m., every seat was filled. Media lined the walls, parents packed the balconies, students who should have been in class stood in the aisles. The school board sat on stage like judges at a tribunal, faces grim with the weight of national scrutiny. Principal Storm opened the proceedings. Voice strained. We're here to address the incident of October 15th and the subsequent revelations about systemic issues at Oakwood High. Systemic issues, a voice called from the crowd. You mean the covering up of years of abuse? Order, Storm said weakly. We'll maintain order. Mayor Harrison sat in the front row, flanked by 3 lawyers. Blake beside him, wrist in a brace he didn't need, playing victim to the end. They'd prepared a counterattack, accusations of violence, claims of mental instability, character assassination designed to discredit not just Raven, but everyone who stood with her. But they'd underestimated the power of truth backed by evidence. The video played first, Hunter's live stream, showing every second of the assault, the scissors, the counting, the minimal force used in defense. Expert witnesses testified that Raven's response was textbook self-defense, remarkably restrained given the threat. Then came the other videos, Tyler's secret recordings, Blake planning harassments like military operations, Mayor Harrison advising his son on staying just inside legal boundaries, conversations that revealed a pattern of calculated cruelty spanning years. That's inadmissible, one of Harrison's lawyers shouted. Recorded without consent. Michigan is a one-party consent state. The school board's legal advisor responded. Mr. Morrison was party to these conversations. The recordings are legal. The auditorium erupted. Parents who'd supported the Harrisons began shifting uncomfortably. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable, damning. Then the victims testified. One by one, they took the microphone. Harper Williams went first, voice growing stronger with each word. Emma Chen followed, rolling up her sleeves to show scars, both physical and emotional. Marcus Jefferson read from a journal documenting 2 years of torment. But it was Sophie Anderson who broke the room. 14 years old, voice barely above a whisper. She detailed encounters that made hardened reporters look away. When she finished, her father had to be restrained from charging at Blake. You knew, Mr. Anderson shouted at Principal Storm. She reported this. We reported this. And you did nothing. We investigated, Storm protested weakly. But without proof, Colonel Silverstone stood. I have copies of every report filed, every complaint submitted, every cry for help that was filed away and forgotten. Would you like me to read them all 73? The school board members exchanged panicked glances. This was beyond damage control. This was institutional failure exposed under national spotlight. Finally, Raven took the stand. The auditorium fell silent, even the media stilling their constant motion. She sat straight, hands folded, the picture of calm in chaos. "I counted to 10, she began. "Every single time. For 732 days. I counted to 10. That's approximately 8,000 times I chose not to respond to harassment. 8,000 times I followed the rules, trusted the system, believed that if I just endured, it would stop." She paused, letting the numbers sink in. But systems only work when they're enforced equally. When a mayor's son has different rules than a colonel's daughter, that's not a system. That's a hierarchy. And hierarchies like that depend on victims staying silent. Her eyes found Blake's. He tried to maintain his sneer, but something in her gaze made him look away. "I'm not proud of defending myself," Raven continued. "I'm not happy it came to violence, but I'm not ashamed either. Because when someone broadcasts your assault for entertainment, when they turn your pain into content, when they escalate to physical violence with weapons, that's when counting to 10 becomes counting down to 0 options." "You broke my wrist," Blake suddenly shouted, unable to contain himself. "I bruised your wrist," Raven corrected calmly. "While you held scissors to my neck. The medical report is quite clear. Minor soft tissue damage. You'll recover fully, unlike some of your victims." The reference to Ashley Morrison hung heavy. Tyler flinched. Blake's face went red. "You think you're so smart." Blake snarled. "You think this changes anything? My family owns this town. We'll sue you into poverty. We'll—" "Blake, shut up." The words came from Mayor Harrison himself. For the first time, the man looked defeated. The evidence was too much. The public attention too bright. His political career was over, and he knew it. But Blake couldn't stop. Years of entitlement erupted. "She's nobody. Her father died because he was too stupid to dodge a bomb. She's just trash that—" The auditorium exploded, not in violence, but in unified rejection. Students stood, turning their backs on Blake. Parents shook their heads in disgust. Even his own lawyers stepped away. Raven remained still, but tears ran down her cheeks. Not from hurt, but from release. Blake had just shown everyone who he really was. No careful image management. No calculated cruelty, just raw, ugly hatred. "My father," she said quietly, but the microphone carried every word. "Died saving 18 children from a school bombing in Kabul. He died a hero. You'll live as a cautionary tale." Sir, the school board called for recess, but the verdict was already clear. Not just in the room, but across the internet, where millions watched. Justice delayed had finally arrived, and it came with consequences. When they reconvened, the decisions came swiftly. Blake Harrison expelled, recommended for criminal charges. Principal Storm suspended pending investigation. New anti-bullying protocols implemented immediately. Independent Oversight Committee established. Mandatory reporting systems that bypassed local administration. But the biggest change was in the students. The culture of silence had shattered. Victims found voices. Bystanders found courage. Even former bullies found conscience. As the hearing concluded, Mayor Harrison approached Colonel Silverstone. "I hope you're satisfied. You've destroyed my family." "No," she replied evenly. "You did that. I just stopped you from destroying others." Outside, the media frenzy continued, but Raven slipped away.
finding quiet in the empty cafeteria where it all began. She sat at the same corner table, running fingers through hair that Blake never got to cut. "Hey!" Tyler Morrison appeared in the doorway. "Can I?" She nodded. He sat across from her, the weight of his choices visible in slumped shoulders. "I'm sorry," he said. "For everything, for not stopping him sooner, for being a coward." "Courage isn't the absence of fear," Raven replied. "It's acting despite it. You testified. That took courage. Too little. Too late. Maybe, but too late is better than never." They sat in companionable silence until Harper appeared with a question. "There's talk of starting a support group for victims, for recovering bullies, for everyone trying to be better. Would you—" "I'm not a leader," Raven said. "You are now." Harper smiled sadly. "Whether you wanted it or not." 6 months later, Raven stood at a podium in Washington, D.C. The Anti-Bullying Summit had invited her as keynote speaker. In the audience sat hundreds of educators, lawmakers, parents, and students, all gathered to hear from the quiet girl who'd changed everything. "I never wanted to be famous," she began. "I never wanted to be a symbol. I just wanted to exist peacefully in my corner of the world. But sometimes the world won't let you have peace. Sometimes it demands you fight for it." She talked about counting to 10, about patience versus passivity, about the difference between violence and defense, about systems that protect power instead of people. "Real strength," she said, "isn't in the ability to hurt others. It's in the ability to protect those who can't protect themselves. It's in standing up, not just for yourself, but for the person too scared to stand. It's in breaking cycles of abuse, even when breaking them breaks you a little too." In the audience, she spotted familiar faces. Harper Williams, now running for student body president on an anti-bullying platform. Tyler Morrison, working with at-risk youth. Even Mason Torres, who'd publicly apologized and now spoke at schools about mob mentality and personal responsibility. Change doesn't come from one moment of courage. Raven continued, "It comes from thousands of small choices. Every time you speak up instead of staying silent. Every time you stand with victims instead of watching. Every time you choose empathy over entertainment." She paused, thinking of her father, of her mother, of all the quiet kids still counting to 10. Sometimes the quietest ones have the loudest impact, not because we shout, but because when we finally speak, we have something worth saying. So to everyone out there counting to 10, wondering if today's the day you hit 0, remember this: you're not alone, you're not powerless, and your voice, when you choose to use it, can change the world. Her story had gone viral, but more importantly, it had gone deep, into hearts and minds and systems that needed changing, and that was worth more than all the views in the world.